course not today. This will take a while. Hello, people. We're early, so you're gonna listen to some chewing.
Chewing action.
Yeah. So we're gonna wait for some people to pile in. So, yes. Usually I'm waiting for you to show up.
Right. I'm usually the first one. I'm usually bored.
Yeah. And there's another guy from Austin that always jumps on named Mark. Mark Weaver, I think is his name.
He was the one telling me about the computer stuff, was he not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So me and Mike are just shooting the shit for another 10 minutes. I just want to make sure that this stuff started up correctly because I feel like I've been struggling and I don't want you guys to wait 15 minutes for me to figure the stuff out over here. Yeah. This shit is delicious, whatever it is.
Oh. You just don't ask questions.
Yeah. I should hit up Anna. I wonder if Anna is available. Ever watched that Star Wars girl?
I have, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you were on there. I was actually trying to find that interview the other day. I had no luck.
It is old. It's part of her Sunday special, I think it was called. Hopefully she didn't take it off. Oh, here we go. Send this information to Eric. Hey, Mark. I'm just waiting for a couple people to show up. So Mike came over here to help me out, and we started talking more, and I realized that he collected tons of stuff, Star Wars related and Motley Crue related. And we were working in the garage, and then he was kind enough to agree to talk about, I guess, all the stuff that he's seen and collected over the years. So it's gonna be a Star Wars collectible special. I'm trying to let that Star Wars girl know, Anna. She's a pretty big Star Wars fan. If we can get her to come have a gander. And then we put up a post about this on Facebook really fast. Live now on YouTube. You can hear the baby always. Why are you not in my friends list here? We're friends on Facebook, aren't
we? Who, me?
Yeah.
We were at one point. I don't know now.
Should be.
I know I'm on the junker side.
Okay.
I'm certain.
Seems kind of weird.
You can add me though. Add you.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Let's put this on Instagram real fast. Thanks for waiting, Mark. We're a little bit early, but I'm just promoting it. We've been in the garage all day trying to. He's been helping me organize all the junker business because I've got a bazillion T-shirts in there that aren't online and orders that need to go out, and I'm getting hate mail. So I'm trying to get this stuff done as quickly as possible.
There.
Did you just send me a
I
request?
did.
So we weren't friends.
I think we were back in the day. I know I'm on the Junker page.
Really? I don't. Okay. I'd feel bad if I somehow. I do go and unfriend people to make room for other people, but that doesn't sound like I would take a Mike Wells off the list. I'm not sure. Let's do this. Okay. Oh, there we go. Confirm. What? Network error. Come on. Really? Hey, Rob. We were just looking at your. Oh, dude, there's so many forgotten gems in the garage. It's unbelievable. There's two big tubs full of. One is one of a kind hoodies, and then the other. Then there's another big tub that's full of all one of a kind weird T-shirts and stuff. So it really depends on your size. A lot of the testers I do in my size, which is medium, because I'm willing to wear like some weird stuff. Some of that stuff I'm not willing to wear, so I'm going to sell it all. It's I'm going to have to reconfigure the website, but just have a big section that's going to be just called the one-off, one-off section, and slowly just load stuff on there. I have so much weird rando crap that we could put up. Now I'm eating, which is gross, but I'm really hungry right now. Which is why I didn't turn on the camera yet, not until 2 o'clock, because I'm stuffing my face with some stuff that Hunty made in the kitchen. Oh, there's Hunty. Hey, Hunty. I'm eating some delicious Hunty snacks. While she has the living terror is in the other room. And so Mike's going to talk. We're going to talk about Star Wars. I'm going to pick his brain. I didn't know that he was collecting stuff. And I didn't know that he had some Junker created Motley Crue stuff long ago. So I'll probably talk about that. But mostly I'm going to try to get a lot of good information out of him. Because, of course, I'm curious, especially about collecting in general, because I've always tried to be like kind of like that guy, like a more of a, I don't know, like I just always feel like I kind of fumble on it, so I don't really actually own any really cool stuff. I have some Motley Crue stuff that people might find really interesting, but that's just because I worked for them. The Blade Runner stuff I have that I cherish is created by fans, of course. So I have some Richard Coyle brand blasters. I have 3 of those. So one is completed; it's up in the bookshelf, and then I have 2 loose kits that I bought, and one of them's half done. But when you get these kits, you have to. I wish Rick was on here. Rick is part of the Blade Runner Blasters group. That I talk to this guy every once in a while. I'm trying to send him a message right now. But when you get the coil blaster, in particular, you have to sink and you have to drill all your holes, and you have to thread. You got to thread all your holes, and you have to do that shit right. And if anyone knows like the way the Junker clothes are done, I'm not precision oriented. I like kind of like free form nasty stuff. So, countersinking these holes and doing all this other work that I was going to be required to do, I got someone to help me that was over at Troublemaker. And honestly, I think that guy he kind of gave up like halfway through. Because, who wants to countersink a bunch of fucking holes all day long? But my friend Kevin Forbes, who's another like sci-fi guy who made my alien belt buckle replica, gave me a couple of these 1911 45 pistols. They're just blank pistols. But I did get an idea to try to do like an over-under Blade Runner variation gun. So most of the gun would look like the Deckard version, like with the revolver, and then the underside would be part of the 45 caliber pistol mounted upside down. So it's almost like when you see Aliens when they have the grenade launchers on the bottom of the pulse rifle, but this would be like some other kind of shell, I guess, that you could shoot. That was the idea there. That doesn't mean I'm ever going to do it. It just means it's an idea, and I have a bunch of these parts, and yeah. So this is me. This is Mike. Mike was good enough to drive all the way up from where are you, Georgetown? Round Rock. So he's south of where I am. Hey, Bonnie. Like, Bonnie's always on here too. So hope you guys are. Well, I consider this to be kind of like a weird treat. So Mike, you guys have seen Mike in the stream. Mike is good enough to come up here and help me organize the garage with all this junker stuff, because I have a million T-shirts and stuff that are not online, that are laying around. And I'm trying to be more organized, and people get frustrated because shit takes forever to mail. And I'm trying to get better. So Mike came up here to help me out, and then we just started talking about the stuff that he just, I think, casually mentioned. He's like, well, at one time I had a Nikki Six jacket that you made, a Nikki Six replica. So there's this white leather jacket, and so Mike,
That was the black one.
the black. Okay. Okay, so that's even more rare. So Mike apparently had a black version of the Nikki Six jacket, which is super cool. I don't think we actually made very many of those at all. And if you're unfamiliar with the jacket that we're talking about, it's a white leather jacket. It's all patchwork. It was originally done for Nikki Six. It has a ton of like stitched like spider webs and like witch faces and skulls, and then it has the big FK on the back. And the story with the FK is on one of Vince Neil's vest. I just had letters left over because one of his vests said "fuck off" really big on the back. And I think there's the red vest, or there's a couple of variations of this red vest that you might have seen in I feel like it's got to be before 2006, because I saw them at Anaheim. It was like right when I first started working with Motley Crue, and made Vince Neil a red leather vest with a skull on the back. And anyway, so I had letters left over from when I made the word F-U-C-K that was so huge that it didn't fit on Vince Neil's vest, so I just had extra letters. So then that's why there's FK, because Kent couldn't fit the rest. And I don't know. No one seemed to mind. No one asked questions, so that's the story with that. So you had a version of that in black with some Vance Kelly art on the back, I think.
Yeah.
You said
that skull.
The three skulls.
Yeah.
And so then Mike is also a long time Motley fan, and also a bass player and a singer.
That's great.
And would you say Star Wars collector, or you would say movie memorabilia in general?
More movie memorabilia.
Okay. So I know one story already is that Mike did have a Freddy Krueger glove.
Right.
Why don't you give us, if you can, the top 3 favorite items that you've owned that is movie related?
Well, unfortunately, most of them I don't own any longer.
Oh,
but,
okay. It can be like an old girlfriend, so it can be a favorite.
right.
Yeah.
Definitely the Return of the Jedi form piece from Star Wars Return of the Jedi.
And that's Stormtrooper forearm
Yes.
armor. And that was made in England, probably,
Yep,
right?
with Elstree.
And is that the same guy that everyone kind of knows, the same vacuum former guy made all the stuff for all 3 movies?
Andrew Ainsworth. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's. I don't know if he made. I mean, all that stuff
Came from his
stuff came out
studio.
Of his studio. Right.
Okay. And so, Stormtrooper forearm armor.
Right.
Okay, that's number 1.
And then probably a piece of the Death Star from The New Hope.
Okay. And so what did that... Well, how big was that? And what did it look like?
It was like that big.
Okay.
It was tiny.
So was that like a...
like
3
by 3 or something?
Yeah, and then is that what you... It's kind of like the one, just like a rando piece with like some cool greeblies and stuff on top of it. Okay, so yeah, so 2 Star Wars things. Then what's your third one?
Probably Celine's outfit worn by Kate Beckinsale from Underworld. I had that complete costume.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. So, is that from is the first one is called Underworld?
Yeah, it was. And actually what I had was kind of a combination between the first movie and the second movie. Because when they auctioned them, it was after the second movie was released, and they kind of just clunked them all together in one generic auction.
Right.
And you bought them as parts, basically. So I ended up with like the cat suit or the main jumpsuit from like the first movie. The trench coat from the second movie, which was a more detailed trench that had like awesome like, embroidery in the back.
Oh, okay.
Which you hardly even see on film.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't remember any detail on any of that stuff.
And then the corset that I had was from the first movie as well.
And,
and it had a lot of like really detailed embroidery around on it too.
Weird.
It was pretty awesome.
I gotta check that out again. Actually, I really like those, mostly because of what's his name? Is it Tutopoulos, the creature designer, the Greek
I'm
guy?
not sure who did that.
Yeah, it's the same guy that did the design and the sculpt, I think, for that that Godzilla reboot, the awful one where he looks kind of like a
lizard.
Yeah, a flat-faced kind of a lizard. I think his name's Patrick Tutopoulos, I think is his name. Creature guy. So she's small, yeah? She's
totally,
really small.
Totally.
And then I know she's married to Les Wiseman, the director.
They're divorced now.
Oh.
But they were.
Hear that, boys? Hear that, men? She's single. Probably, I bet they divorced after that Total Recall reboot they tried.
It's been several years.
Yeah.
I think she dated like a 25-year-old or something.
Good for her. Good for her. But did you see the reboot? It was awful.
I didn't.
God almighty.
I heard bad reviews, so I was just like, I'm skipping it.
It was, I don't remember it having much to do with the Schwarzenegger one, really. Got like a bunch of these crazy cop-looking robots and stuff in it.
Oh, really?
It was just, I don't know. It's totally forgettable, I guess. I don't remember really anything about it except for those, like the SWAT team. Looked like, basically like the RoboCop most recent reboot. They kind of look like that.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, and they kind of look like Halo guys, but not quite as cool as Halo. And so that was the best that they could come up with. And then I haven't seen him do like a lot of work even after that. I don't know. If any of you guys are movie fans, you can tell us what has Les Wiseman done lately. I feel like he did something. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. So Star Wars stuff. Well, so I can't help but start talking shit about Star Wars because we're talking about Star Wars. We're talking about when Star Wars was cool enough to collect, something from Star Wars. And so my experience with Star Wars is, I know you're 41. 41. I'm 51. So I guess you would have seen what Return of the Jedi in the theater.
I actually saw both of them on like a re-release, and I believe they re-released both of them like right before Jedi came out in '83, and you can do the math. I was quite young.
Okay.
But I don't remember seeing the first one at all, like episode 4.
Okay.
I do remember seeing Empire Strikes Back and Jedi both in theaters.
Right.
I at one point thought it was during the like original run, but I was like, I would have been like 2, so I highly doubt that was the case.
Yeah, I don't think you remember.
I do have memories from when I was that young, but
right.
Regardless, I really it was probably on the re-release that they did right before Jedi.
Yeah. So before Jedi, the re-release would have been the normal versions of the film.
Oh, right. Before they specialized them in the 90s.
And then re-specialized them, so that's where like a lot of there's a fly in my room. That's where like a lot of this stuff comes up. These problems with I don't know what you think about this. But my theory is that once George Lucas is so unbelievably, I guess rich and famous from the first bit of films, there's just no one around him to say that that's a bad idea anymore. And I like to blame, I think it's Andrew Chang personally. Doug Chang, that's right. Who's Andrew Chang? Is he running? He might be running as a Democratic hopeful. There's that Yang Gang.
I'm not sure on that one, man.
I don't know. I get all my information mixed up.
Politics scares me.
Yeah. Politics is a huge farce, I think. But yeah, like you get so many people around you that they don't, I guess, say no, or it's a bad idea. Because I remember when I was, I moved to LA in 2001, and I think in around 2002, I met George Lucas in front of a place called Wasteland, the store that he was taking his daughter to. And just him walking, I guess, shopping and then coming out of the store, there was already like 30, 40 people were just like just all around him. And like an idiot, I just was like, hey, are you George Lucas? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I just want to say thank you for all the cool stuff. And that was it. I was like totally starstruck because it's George Lucas. I mean, what do you do? But then, so in my mind, I don't know how you felt about how you saw the films progress. Being that we're 10 years apart, but for me, like even at that age, so I would have seen Star Wars. I was 7 or 8, I think. From Star Wars to Empire to Return of the Jedi, something in my mind clicked. I was like, hey, wait a minute. Because I was like, okay, Jawas. I was like, Jawas are badass. I wish I knew some Jawas. Then I saw Ugnaughts. I was like, not as cool as Jawas. Then I saw Ewoks. I was like, wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute. They're just trying to pull like a fast one with little people here. And so even then my mind was a little starting to get suspicious.
Right.
That I was like, oh, they're just trying to sell cute things to people. But I mean, that's totally forgivable, I think, because those films are awesome, right?
Well,
you would agree?
The Ewoks, I mean, there's a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans that absolutely hate the Ewoks.
Well, when you find out that they could have been Wookiees,
that would have been better. Agreed.
Yeah.
But then we get Jar Jar in episode 1. So that's
the worst. Let's not go from that quite that far. Yeah, because it comes, a show after that. But so it went Jawa, Ugnaught, Ewok, and then at some point, I heard that they did Ewoks because doing Wookiees was too expensive.
Well, what George said in an interview one time was that he was originally going to go with Wookiees, and then he decided to go with the exact opposite. Uh-huh. So the Ewoks have shorter hair, the Wookiees have long hair.
Right.
The Wookiees are tall, the Ewoks are short.
Right.
And it's a lot of people have also said that it's kind of like the Vietnam War. Because the Ewoks don't have all the technology in their Battle of the Evil Empire, but
right.
the whole laser guns and all that stuff.
The Vietnamese, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it's so weird because like not until I don't even remember when, but I think I read a quote that was like, well, yeah. So it must have been about the prequels, I think, where George Lucas had said something about like, well, yeah, that guy's basically Dick Cheney. Like he was comparing like I don't remember the exact quote, but I mean, as being a kid, like I never at once never thought about how that would relate to real life because to me it's a Star Wars film, you know. But once I started hearing that, like I'd have to say it became even more like uh, disinterested. Maybe not because of the politics part, but because I like to make up my own story, and I don't like to hear that shit's based on real life stuff. I guess that much, you know.
Right.
Because I'm really easily led. Like, you know, it makes Sixth Sense like blew me away.
It was a good movie the first time. I mean, the second time,
yeah, but there was people that I knew that were like, yeah, he's a ghost. How did you not know that? And I was just like, I don't know, because I'm like totally like so like involved in the film. Like I'm watching the film. I'm not exactly trying to figure out what's going on. I'm letting the film, tell me what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess I've been a simpleton like that for, you know.
I didn't get that the first time I watched it either.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad.
Yeah. No, I don't feel bad, but I actually kind of like it because I don't think deeply about films. Like I really just like to watch films, you know. So, you know, I think, well, maybe Dark Crystal is probably like a really, really great example of you watch this film and you're totally in it, you know, and even though it's kind of shitty puppets, you know, like those are Yoda level puppets. They're not that great.
And a lot of it doesn't make sense. Dark Crystal creeped me out when I was a kid
because of the
all of them, like even the Gelflings and stuff, just their jerky animation.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though, because when my son was born, for instance, that's the first thing I thought of. Because when a baby is born, their emotions are so jerky. It reminded me of the Gelflings from Dark Crystal.
Oh,
like seriously.
Okay. Yeah, I would think that Lydia reminds me more of like a pod person. And I think the new one's really, really good.
I haven't seen it yet.
Really?
Like
well, it's on Netflix. If you guys are, and there's a connection there that makes me really proud, and that's Jessie Foreman, who is a talented sculptress and all around great, cool person. Sculpted like a wolf head for me and some other stuff, and then she also worked on some Skeksis armor over at Henson Studios, and she actually put me in contact with somebody there, and I don't know if anything's ever going to come of that, but you know, just to be able to maybe hit someone up and get a tour when I go to town would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be that.
Yeah. So, but back to Star Wars. So, if do you have a favorite Star Wars film?
Either Episode 4 or 5. So, A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
And it's different depending upon the day.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah, I can see that. I always thought in Return of the Jedi that Luke was kind of a dick. You know, he's like, you know, when he walks into Jabba's palace and he's just all like,
I'm a Jedi.
Yeah,
right.
He's mind felching Bib Fortuna or whatever, and going in and making Gamorrean guards pass out and all this stuff, which is cool. But his attitude, you know, that's why I've been great to see in these new films. It would have made sense that his arrogance, maybe they would explain how his arrogance led him to like become isolated.
Yeah, he just came off as a crazy fan, though.
Oh yeah, no, that film's terrible. But I just, you know, it's hard to talk about any of these films without talking about how disappointing Luke Skywalker is now. When and I know a lot of people don't like J.J. Abrams,
Right.
That he's kind of like just a copycat and doesn't really have any original ideas. We'll see. But
see how the next one plays out.
Oh, dude, I've seen stuff online where you're just like, no.
Let's hope all the rumors are not true.
Yeah. The other thing that bugged me about Star Wars when I was growing up, as I started to kind of think about it a little bit more, was I was like, how the hell is everyone related?
Right.
Yeah, I was like, this seems highly improbable.
And Luke and Leia kissing an Empire Man.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you? Yeah. But I think to J.J. Abrams' credit, even though you can argue that film was pretty crazy, and although it's supposed to be woke, they had a black guy that was like a janitor and knew how to open a trash door and all this other stuff that makes it's not really thought out at all. It seems really ridiculous. Well, as you could say, the last scene, I totally bought the last scene. The her trying to give him that lightsaber was freaking genius. It was a cliffhanger, and George Lucas, based all this stuff off the Buck Rogers 1930s series, where everything was a cliffhanger. And then it got totally Ryan Johnson after that.
Throwing it over his shoulder.
Yeah, I'm like, luckily I didn't see that.
All that buildup of, and then nothing.
Yeah. So by now Disney has to acknowledge the fact that well, I guess they don't. I don't know if they have ever admitted that they've made a mistake or they let someone go haywire with their writing or anything. But it was such a crazy, and it's even weird that we're talking about it. It's a missed opportunity that people will continue to talk about probably for till the end of time. But there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, I think Ryan Johnson will be forever known as the director. The director that made the biggest blunder of all of Hollywood history.
Yeah, and it's weird that Kathleen Kennedy has a job.
Right.
Yeah, which is weird to talk about because I can't tell who I was talking to, but I was talking to a producer at Lucasfilm who was super generous, and I got to see all the costumes in England. I went to Pinewood.
Oh, nice.
That is amazing. Like they had like on Luke's robes, there was like little bits of like fish scales and stuff sewn on there because he was fishing on his on Ahch-To or whatever the planet was, or the island he was on. The costumes were unbelievable. The Praetorian guards, they were showing me how those costumes were cast in 3 to 4 different types of material. So where it was on the arm, for instance, this is more solid, and then like more rubbery. So this would work.
Right. So they're all those.
Tons of stuff. All the. I thought the X-wing suits were kind of like rehab military stuff. Everything was custom made from scratch. It was unbelievable. Then what happened was I saw the film. I saw half the film, so I've told this story a couple times before. I'll try to get through it pretty quick and ask you some more questions. Hey, man, what's up, gamer? It's my boy Harmony. Oh yeah, you're the one that was watching a Exploder video with knives out. You're playing with knives, I think you said. I don't know what that means. Hopefully you're not one of those cutters. So we're in this house. This is the house that we were in, and then so Temple is like 15 minutes away. We drove all the way to Temple. Me and my girlfriend sat down to watch the movie, and then my phone tells me the alarm went off. So I had to come all the way back to the house. Met the police. The wind had just blown one of the back doors open because Texas wind is like out of control sometimes. So I didn't see walrus milk Luke Skywalker. I didn't see that part.
Oh, well, you didn't miss it much.
Yeah. And then I didn't see Princess Leia flying through outer space either.
Mary Poppins player.
Yeah. So I came in, I think, somewhere. Must have been in the middle of the movie, I think. I missed like 30 or 40 minutes, maybe. And still, I thought it freaking sucked.
Right. No, I
Big time.
totally agree. I mean, for instance, I named my son Luke. If that tells you anything.
Yeah, and you have like a Luke tattoo.
I do.
And everything. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, they killed that character.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're supposed to
I mean,
be
not literally, but figuratively as well. Everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's and like I said, I'm still shocked that we're talking about it because they're not gonna do anything about it. I guess in my fantasy world, they can get the guy that plays what's his name, Bucky.
See, that was what's his name, Sebastian something, really.
Yeah, because you've seen those comparisons. He
he
looks
does.
Exactly like
Totally.
freaking Luke Skywalker in.
Is it Sebastian Stan or something like that?
I don't know. That sounds about right. Maybe one of you guys know. But he pretty much it looks exactly like Luke around Empire Strikes
like a young
Back.
mammal.
Yeah. So, my fantasy world is you can have the adventures of Luke Skywalker, the stuff that happens between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and explain like how he ended up getting so like kind of weird and cocky. And there might be a cool reason for it. I don't know, or not. But Star Wars fans will have been forever, I'm trying to think of words that aren't cuss words. Anyway, you know what I'm getting at. So, I'm curious about the Death Star parts in particular. So, when you found your Star Wars collectibles, it's because you go through other collectors, or some of this stuff did you find like totally strangely randomly somewhere?
None of it I really found randomly. It was basically through other collectors back in the late 90s, early 2000s, really before the whole movie prop thing blew up like it is now.
So that's before Prop Store?
No, I mean, Prop Store was around. They just weren't as well known. I remember making late night phone calls to Stephen Lane at like 3 a.m. our time.
Oh, because he's in England, right?
Yeah, they're 6 hours behind us, or ahead of us.
Yeah, ahead
of us. But trying to make deals with him. I mean, that he owns an amazing piece of stuff that I'll never be able to afford.
Oh, I think so. Who's the guy that owns the blaster now?
I think Steven had it like a scout blaster at one point.
No, what about I'm sorry. Who owns the Blade Runner Hero blaster now?
Oh,
because that guy owns a ton of cool stuff.
He was on. You know who Adam Savage is?
Yeah, Tested. Yeah, I love Adam. I've written you numerous times, Adam, and I've never got a reply.
Adam, he interviewed that guy that owns that blaster. He won an auction.
Right, because they did the blaster comparison.
Right, because Adam's like a huge Blade Runner freak.
Yeah, because he actually, you've seen the episode, the Tested episode, where he says, "This is the one I tried to make when the only thing I could do was get screen grabs of VHS tapes." Yeah. So that dude's super cool. But
I don't know the collector's name that owns it personally. I know Adam was.
Not Doug Lang, or did you already say Doug Lang as the guy from Prop Store?
No. Stephen Lane.
Stephen Lane, got it.
Lane, L.
Oh, okay, Lane.
But yeah, I don't know the guy. I don't know the guy's name. I don't remember. I'd have to look up the interview, honestly.
Right. So you just went through other collectors. You find out they have like a hot Star Wars something.
Right. Well, see, like back in the day, though, I'm 40 now, so I'd say when I was like back in 20, let's say 2021, a lot of times you would just literally, on different news groups back then on the internet, everyone used news groups.
Okay.
And you would just start talking to people, and the next thing you know, it's like, hey, I'm so and so. I work for K&B Effects, or whatever the case may be. And then here's my phone number. I have some props laying around, and a lot of these guys back then they didn't want them. They worked on the movie. They were done with it, and you'd call them, talk to them, and actually sometimes, get to know these people, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a crazy story that almost happened that I wish I still would have lived with. But that's how you kind of just by networking, or other collectors knew so-and-so in the industry, and hey, here's this guy's number, you're a cool guy, whatever. I know a lot of people that I talked with back in the day, as far as other Star Wars collectors, and have made quite a name for themselves. I know a couple of my friends, like Richie's Armor. He's based out of Tulsa. He makes all kinds of amazing, like, custom stuff for like fan movies.
And, cool.
Tom Spina's up in New York. Spina Designs.
He does. He's been autistic too.
Yes,
he does like a lot of the rehab original props and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Matter of fact, back in the day, Tom used to, back when he was slinging latex in his apartment. Because I talked to Tom for hours. I've never met the guy though yet. I'd still like to one day.
Oh yeah, you should go visit.
Tom, if you're watching, man. I've had several different alien masks, like a snaggletooth mask that he made me. One of the band members, a couple of different Cantina people. That's all original stuff.
So from the original molds? Or
no, it's all stuff that Tom sculpted.
Got it.
Because Tom is an amazing artist.
Does anyone? Do you know? Well, I guess Rick Baker would have some of those molds. Those molds still exist?
The last I knew, they had EFX Collectibles released a Darth Vader helmet. They've released one fiberglass one and one that was plastic. Both of those were based on the Baker molds. And they somehow found the Baker molds. I'm not exactly sure where they were.
Of Darth Vader?
Of the original A New Hope helmet.
That's weird. Yep. I thought Darth Vader would have been sculpted by the British guy.
He was. Brian Meir is who sculpted it, and then Baker somehow I think he made molds for like the touring costume. I think it was done after it was passed from the original helmet, but it was like after the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because
I wonder if that's the one that I saw at Toys R Us when I was growing up.
Oh no! That was like the Don Post.
No. So like within a year of the movie coming out.
Okay.
They had a huge event at Toys R Us where you would meet, you would watch Darth Vader and Chewbacca and Stormtroopers march through the store.
Oh, right.
They weren't selling the merchandise. But I just
was this in California? Or?
No, this was in Houston.
Oh, in Houston. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember it really vividly because one of the Stormtroopers, his arm piece was still, at the time when I was a kid, I was like, it looked like metal that hadn't been painted. And then when I shook Chewbacca's hand, it was like his hand was like stuffed into a shitty mitten. So when I grabbed his hand, I was just like, ew! It just felt fucking weird. There was no like fingers.
Squishy.
Yeah, he was like this Chewbacca, but there was no, he didn't have his like ape fingers or whatever they are.
Right.
Yeah, so I wonder if that was what they were casting up.
Well, Peter's Mayhew's hands are massive, huge hands.
Dude, that would have been awesome. So through collectors, you would just hunt down.
Yeah, just networking.
This was like this was the equivalent to like chat rooms, right?
Right.
Like that kind of thing. So. This is before the internet.
I mean, it was the internet, but it was
right. It wasn't like what
we didn't have YouTube back then, for instance.
Right, because I remember the first time I had one of my weird, what's it called? The all-encompassed Apple, one of those Apple computers.
iMac.
The Cube.
Wasn't it called the iMac?
I think it was the Cube. I don't know. Was it? I don't know. Someone figure this out.
Well, they made like.
Hey, Slick. Oh, Hamburg, yeah. It sounded like you have a Hamburg-style hangover, probably. But I remember on that, it was such a big deal when I was playing Diablo, a really fucking shitty game.
Right.
And the most I could do was like try to figure out how to use a chat room, and I was just like, fuck it. There was so much effort that went into getting into a chat room to try to get a chat going. I was just like, really not interested.
But I think one of the most interesting things that happened through that, and it was like almost not really, I should have done it kind of thing, was I contacted the stunt coordinator for the original X-Men movie, the one directed by Bryan Singer.
Okay.
And a guy named Scott Leva.
Okay.
And I've since fallen out of contact with him, but
right.
back I was trying to get a pair of Wolverine's claws.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he didn't have them available, but they had these prototype ones, which were more pointed and longer. Basically, Jackman used them for like practicing and that stuff. And
cool.
Then they ended up making them shorter. And but so he said, well, maybe I can sell you those. They're just laying around. And long story short, I didn't get them because Tom DeSanto, the producer, wanted them. And I was like, all right, fair enough. What can you do, right?
Right.
But he felt really bad about not being able to sell these things to me, and he ended up like sending me his shooting script and like one of the Senator Kelly buttons, just giving them to me. He's like, here, man, you can have them. But back then, I kind of formed a little bit of a friendship with this guy, and next thing I know is, and I was like, what, 20, 21, 22 maybe.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, what are you doing? And I said, well, I work tech support. And he said, well, do you want to? I'm looking for a stuntman. Why don't you come out to LA and I can train you? And I was like, well, I don't have the physique for that. And he goes, it's okay. He goes, we can train you for that. I wish I would have done that.
What?
Yeah, right? My life would have been very different.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a lost opportunity. But oh well, you know.
A friend of mine said that Mikey may have done a stunt and broke your neck and died or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
That's crazy. Wow, that's super crazy. Yeah, all the guys. So when we work on the Troublemaker films, I think the last few films for sure, it's Brand X is the name of the stunt group, and all those guys look like monsters.
Right.
Yeah,
like Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, they do. They look pretty much like superheroes, and even JJ, who I think might be the leader of the gang. I don't know. So one stunt guy named JJ, I see strangely on these United flights that take really early out of Austin to LA. I'm always like running into this guy, but he's shorter, but he's still like superhero looking. So I'd be afraid one of those guys would just snap my legs or something bad would happen. Let's see. Someone had a question here. So, what have you worked on in film-wise? Have you worked on any films?
I have only been in a few films. I predominantly have done stage work, like for community theater and that kind of stuff. The only films I have been in is I was an extra in a movie called Zombex that was filmed by a local guy here in Austin named Jesse Payton.
Oh, okay. You were telling me about that earlier.
Right. And then I was an extra in one other thing that it was like some random pilot. I don't even really remember what it was.
Right.
And then most recently, I played a vampire in my friend's movie that's going to be coming out here very soon. It's a short film called My Friend in the Woods. And I played the vampire in that, so that was fun.
Rad. So that is going to be where? I mean, are you guys going to do like a art house showing in Austin, or how are you going to do that?
Well, we're actually kind of shopping that around right now. We're trying to either get it in like some kind of film festival. I know Carlos goes out to, he's the head of the Haunted House Studios that did the movie. He goes out to LA all the time, so he's going to shop it around out there as well. Oh, cool. So who knows where it may land. We're just kind of looking for somebody locally to say, hey, I have short films right now. And just so we can tack it on, get it seen.
All right.
And maybe have like a little premiere party for the cast and crew, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'll especially here.
I know I did wear a jacket that Piggy D made me.
Oh, right.
So I'm gonna send him a copy of it as well, since I got his permission to wear that.
Rad. So, well, I mean, most of you guys probably know that. So Piggy D is a guy named Matt. He plays bass for Rob Zombie's band. What you might not know is that he's also a guy from Houston, so we get to claim him as a Texan. He also, I used to play in a band with him like way back. So Matt is like a cool guy, and apparently he makes cool stuff, and he's pretty easy to get along with, even though he's a rock star. I guess. Is he?
Yeah, he's a cool dude, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he's totally a cool dude. It's always weird when you have friends and you're like, are you a rock star? I don't know, I guess so. Yeah.
Right. They're all just normal people. They just have cooler jobs.
Right. They have a lot more frequent flyer miles than I do.
Cooler jobs, more money.
Yeah. So that, so I know you had Star Wars stuff. I know you had a Freddy Krueger glove. What else would be like in your tops? So we covered the 3 Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about the Freddy Krueger glove?
No, we haven't. I mean, I can tell
not
you
on
more
here.
about
Yeah. You should tell them the story.
Right. All right. Basically, on eBay back in the day, I found this. I've always been a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. This Freddy Krueger scared the you know what out of me as a little kid. But basically, I was on this auction, and it was some blurry pictures, and this guy said he lived in L.A. and knew some people that worked on the movies. So I kind of gambled at it, and I got this. Long story short, I got this glove for $75. Got it in the mail, and for the longest time, it was like it had some of the telltale signs of being authentic, some of it not.
Right.
I talked with a couple prop experts, and we could never nail it down. And this guy offered me like quadruple what I paid for it, so I went ahead and sold it on stupidly.
Yeah.
And years later, it was actually comes to find it was used in 2 movies: Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, and then it was repurposed for Part 5.
Right.
And so it was used in 2 movies, and the last that I knew, I think it sold for like $12,000 or $13,000 or something. So
wow.
One of those things I still wish I had. But
yeah.
But one of my other favorite things that I ever owned, I've always been a kung fu practitioner as well.
Okay.
And I owned one of Brandon Lee's shirts that he wore in the movie The Crow.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy. I have some pictures of us actually at his gravesite in Seattle.
Oh, nice.
It was really weird. We were on tour. It happened, and we drove by because Bruce Lee's there, Brandon Lee's there, and the guy that was the drummer was a huge Bruce Lee fan. And when we got there, they still had all the stuff, like all these like Chinese, like kind of like lanterns and papers and all that kind of stuff was laying all over the grave. So we had that stuff basically lining the inside of our tour van for a while. I don't know if that means we have like a Brandon Lee ghost.
But the Lee curse now, it's following you.
Yeah. That was a long time ago, so I think dodged that one. But we did have like, the funeral banners and stuff like all on the inside of the van. I'm not sure how I feel about that now. But then we were just like, cool, they're just going to throw this shit away unless we do something with it.
Right.
Yeah, so we took that. I saw Jimi Hendrix's grave, I think, is up there.
In Seattle.
Yeah. So we saw Jimi Hendrix's grave when we were on tour. But as far as collectibles go, like I just never. I have like Motley Crue collectible stuff. I was telling Mike earlier that there was a tour when it was the Motley Crue Kiss tour, and basically Vince was not going to tour in Australia and have a trench coat that had sleeves on it because it's going to be too hot. But he likes the trench coat look. So I have some Vince Neil sleeves, and I have some stuff I took off the back of one of his other jackets. We had made this plaque kind of out of leather, and it said "sex" really big in this lettering. We had made multiples of those because the original thing, if you picture it as like the back of a trench coat, and sometimes on the back of a trench coat there's like a little band on the back that kind of holds these flaps back. So what we had done is made kind of this leather strap thing that originally had a giant ass pentagram on it. But like Vince Neil's not super down with that pentagram. Like I did it on a couple of his things, but after a while he was like, he's like, I'm not really into that shit. So you take it off. So then we made this other one that says "sex" on it. And the first one I made was a little bit too big, so I have that one. And then the second one he ended up wearing, so then that one went on tour. And I think that was part of that same trench coat, which I guess is the Kiss, Motley Crue, Australian Kickoff. I'm not sure how long that costume lasted. He would order stuff pretty frequently, so.
I remember the stuff you wore in Vegas, all the silver stuff for certain.
Yeah, so that man,
That's
yeah.
rad, though.
Thanks. Yeah, so all the Vegas shit. I was just telling the story the other day. Is like Vince Neil just basically said he's like, I was like, I don't know, something like Liberace, but rock and roll still, and I'm like, oh, okay. Did a bunch of drawings. There's like one jacket that I don't think anyone ever saw. I don't know if the time lapse is up. I'll have to check. You guys can look on the site right now and then figure out if there's a, what was it be called? Vince Neil or Junker Designs time lapse video. I thought it was on here, maybe it's not. But anyway, we made Vince Neil this super, super crazy ostrich feather, giant, long ass Mrs. Howell from Gilligan's Island bathrobe looking thing. And it was, I thought it was pretty awesome. The problem was that when he took it, I think they had a tech rehearsal or something. Basically, the pyro guys were like, "No fucking way!" Dude. They're like, "No fucking way." Yeah, because it was like the really wispy, ostrich feathers. They're like super small and really wispy.
Like a big boa.
Yeah. It looked like he was wrapped in a giant fucking boa. So we had to nix that one, but out of that, I think we did 2 versions of this other one. I don't know if you've seen it. It's got all the black feathers on it everywhere.
I may have.
Okay, well, there's a black one. Then we did like a red version of this other like feathered thing, because these were like heavy duty duck and turkey feathers that were dyed, and there's not.
They're not on the shoulders, right?
Yeah. And they're not gonna like go poof like the ostrich thing was just gonna be like bad news. So that was some of the cool stuff from that one. But he's asking here, do you have any silly memorabilia? Silly memorabilia. Do you have any silly? Would that be like Pee Wee Herman props or something?
I definitely don't have that.
No.
A pair of unused prototype Chewbacca teeth that were unpainted, that was made by Stuart Freeborn. That's kind of strange, unique.
That's super cool. So those are gone now, though?
Yeah. Okay. Sadly, I have very few props left. I have like a sword from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Okay.
A shield that I'd like to get rid of from Gods of Egypt. And
Gods of Egypt?
Yeah, it was just random.
Oh, okay.
It was just a cool piece, and it was just like, a dagger and a shield. Cool.
Oh, got it.
They had Gerard Butler in it. Egyptian movie.
Okay.
And probably one of the cooler pieces that I still have now is ape appliance, like internal appliance, because over it was latex.
Oh, got
but it was used in Greystoke, and it was made by Rick Baker.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But they basically wore these gloves.
Yeah.
And since they were humans, the apes had longer fingers.
Right, so it's like an extension.
Right, and like the inside workings of the glove, because they put like a latex sleeve over top of these finger extension things. So they were all made of metal, dude, and they're fun. I mean, you put them on, they're out there. Wow. It's almost like a mechanical looking Freddy glove or something almost when you put them on. It's kind of fun just to mess with.
Yeah.
Super sturdy too. I mean, it's all like hardcore like steel and metal, so it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So Rick Baker stuff is really worth a lot of money, I think.
Yeah, some of it is. Some of it
The internal working mechanism for a Greystoke ape hand sounds pretty badass.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much the master of ape makeups.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that in the 70s he played, King Kong. Yeah. So he's also an ape performer. I think did his wife do some of that performance as well?
I'm not sure on that.
Okay. So I think maybe the story I'm thinking about is I think his wife at the time, maybe this was American Werewolf in London, they were all involved with operating all the air bladders and stuff for the transformation scenes and stuff
That's
like that.
true.
Yeah, that sounds probably more right.
I know they're coming out with a big 2-volume set book of all these pictures of all this stuff.
Really?
On and stuff. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Rick Baker. So if you're not really into makeup that much, Rick Baker is, I don't know, he would be more like the modern master. And then before Rick Baker, there's a guy named Dick Smith. Dick Smith basically came up with most of the shit, really cutting edge stuff. Because Dick Smith started in television, I believe, in the '50s, and so if there was something that had to be made, he just had to figure it out, And I guess if you want to look at Dick Smith as the grandfather, and then out of the next wave of crazy people, there was, as far as really crazy artists, I would say, get Rick Baker pretty much. And then if it's slasher stuff, there's Tom Savini. And, then around there, there's other guys, but I didn't follow the other guys very much, but there's Craig Reardon and
David Miller, who did Freddy's originally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know about him. And there's Chris Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it pronounced Wallace?
I believe so.
I think he did. So Rick Baker did Gremlins 1.
Right.
And then he was pretty much burnt out, and then he gave it to Chris. And then Chris did Gremlins 2, or part of Gremlins 2.
I think that might have been a collaboration.
I
think Baker had some stuff in Gremlins 2, if I remember
right. Right, because I thought Rick Baker was talking about that, the crazy gremlin spider was one of his favorites or something.
Right. I'm not sure on that.
I could have made it all up, also. Because I read a bunch of that stuff, and then it all kind of gets all mixed together.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, I'm not sure.
So is there any... So would you say you're still collecting? Yeah?
I do.
Kind of?
Not as actively.
Right.
Life happens. And,
right. Other concerns.
Right. It's more expensive living in Austin, getting divorced.
Right.
That kind of stuff. Life happens.
So Gamer wants to know, though, is there anything you're trying to get?
Oh, there's always stuff I'm looking for if I can get it for the right price.
Okay, so what about that? What would be your top 3 things you would want?
From any movie, period.
Yeah, anything.
Okay, well, definitely a Freddy glove would be out there.
Do you want to get the Freddy glove back?
Yeah,
or a Freddy glove?
Well, one from the original movie would be the better.
Yeah.
One. That only one exists, but I know who owns it. So.
Oh, I guess you could ask nicely.
Yeah, right. That's going to Mike Becker's his name. That's going to his grave.
Oh.
And anything, probably a trench coat or something like that from The Crow would be super cool. I love that movie.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorites.
Crow-related stuff.
Something from Beetlejuice.
Oh,
something
man.
huge. Or actually anything from either Keaton or Winona Ryder, because I've always had this huge crush on Winona Ryder since I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, which is really crazy because I watched Heathers so many times.
Right.
So many times. So it's weird to see her in. Well, what do you think about her in Stranger Things then now?
I absolutely love it. Stranger Things is one of the best things that's came to TV in a long time.
Yeah, I think I actually I really liked it too. I just thought it's interesting to see her. And I don't know if this is just her normal personality traits or she has a lot of twitchy shit going on.
Right, I've noticed that. I don't know. I've never met her, so I can't say for certain. But...
Yeah, and she's kind of always been like that. I feel like a little twisty in the face as far as her acting goes. But then you wonder, because you always wonder about the actors, how much is, say Jack Nicholson basically just is himself, plays himself. So how much of Winona Ryder is just pretty much Winona Ryder? I mean, obviously she can't steal when she's on the movie set.
Well, she can try, but
they're on to her. Yeah, that's so unfortunate. I don't know if like she was really high and just wanted some fucking hand lotion. I don't remember what happened, but
If Miss Ryder's on set, make sure you tie everything down, screw it down,
right,
glue it down.
right. Because the other guy we were talking about earlier, it was just on a film that I was working on. Is Christian. Forget his name though.
Christian Slater.
Christian Slater. Also a troublemaker. A one-time troublemaker. But I tell you what, like, as far as like the dealings that I've had with rock stars and stuff, it's totally different. For the most part, when I'm working for guys who are in bands, like they talk to you and they're not singing, so you don't, there's not that weird connection. But when I had to go do a fitting with Christian Slater, and he's talking, uh, it was just crazy because I think isn't it in Heather's is like okay, Dad. They have that really weird conversation with his father back and forth. He pretty much talks like that. Like I feel like he must have had a lot to do with crafting that scene because he acts exactly like that and talks kind of like that, and it was super weird. Like much weirder than hearing like Vince Neil say stuff because he's not singing, so it's not
right.
It doesn't like throw you off. But
so does he still sound like a young Jack Nicholson?
He sounds exactly like he sounds in Heather's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Robot, he's awesome.
No.
Him and Randy Rattalk.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you've never seen Mr. Robot? They're on
Is
like
it on
the third
Netflix?
season now.
Really?
It's on Amazon Prime. Yeah, dude, Mr. Robot's awesome.
Okay.
And the guy that played Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody is in it too.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, we'll have to check that out. Do you guys have any other questions? Any collectibles? So we talked about collectibles.
We can talk about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything. So I used to be. I collect like I guess normal people shit. Like I didn't ever get like too much into the movies collectibles like that deep. Like I collected Star Wars cards or Kiss cards or comic books, magazines or stuff like that. Can't really think of something I would really, really, really want that I mean, because I'm older now, I realize that shit, I'd be sick of it. Like in a month or two, what the fuck am I gonna do with a Boba Fett helmet? Just stick it put it on the cabinet or whatever. I mean, it would be good if you look at it as an investment. You try to sit on it for 10 years or something, and then sell it later, I guess. So here's a really good question because you were in the collectibles game. You've been doing that for a while. So have you ever been burned?
Only like once or twice, honestly.
Yeah.
Not very often. There are a lot of fakes in the hobby.
Right.
And you have to be super, super careful. It's probably worse now. It's probably more so worse now.
Well, yeah, you get like 3D scan a prop and then try to resell it, I guess.
They've always been worth a lot of money,
Uh-huh.
but they just steadily keep increasing in price.
Right.
Especially your classic movies, like original Star Wars movies. Not so much the newer stuff. The newer stuff you can honestly buy a lot of stuff a dime a dozen.
Right. But this is like screen. What do they call it?
Screen used.
Screen used.
Right.
Like double proofed or whatever. Many people have, agreed that this is what the fuck it is.
Right. You have to do a lot of research. There's a lot of telltale signs on certain props sometimes. Right. It's just basically just tons. Back in the day, it was looking at screenshots and screen grabs. And
right.
It was grueling at times. Just going through saying, "Can I find this little piece?" Is it?
Yeah. So I guess my question would be, even if we're talking about old school stuff. For instance, if you had a mold for a dagger that was used by Thulsa Doom in Conan, and you just start making a bunch of fucking copies out of the mold.
There are a lot of effects artists in the industry that do that.
Pass
them off as real. That happens.
Yeah. Then I mean, to me, like it would seem like there would not be. How would you ever differentiate the first one out of the mold from the one that the guy just.
That can be tough, especially if it comes from the original artist.
Yeah.
But usually there's little telltale signs, like say there's a nick, and say it's a foam rubber sword, let's say, for instance.
Right.
And say you know there's a small nick in one particular scene that you can match up to it.
Right.
And that sword has that same nick, or like a little, blood splatter from fake blood that's still on there.
Right.
Or something of that nature. But some of it gets hard, especially when the effects artist recast and say, hey, it's like not worth very much.
Right.
And but it is from the original maker, original mold. So I mean, it does have credibility.
Right. At least it's an original, the sculpt from the sculpt or whatever.
But it's not going to be as worth as much
to a collector. Used. Right. Yeah. Okay. So. So this guy wants to collect junker clothes. Be my guest. There's a lot of stuff online. I actually have a lot of so if you missed kind of like the starting of our discussion, we Mike usually is in the feed making comments, and then we found out we lived close to each other, so Mike came over. We've been like going through the garage, finding a bunch of one-of-a-kind junker stuff. It'll all be online soon, probably this week. But I did. I lost my train of thought. But who else is in here? Rob is in here. How many people? 6.
Yeah, did
so,
we miss any questions?
Yeah, I don't think we missed any questions. I think Slick passed the fuck out again. But I do see that you guys have there's 3 likes on the video. Make sure to, so just to say this right now, make sure and like this video, and more importantly, make sure to make a comment in the comment section. So when you comment, I'm just curious, do you have to wait till I post the video up, or can you make comments when we're live?
When it's live, it all goes in like a live chat. You can't really see that until once you post the actual video up. You can't see any of this stuff. It's live comments right now.
So I'm new to the game. So once this video goes up, make sure to make a bunch of comments. So Mike knows all about this stuff, and Mark knows all about this stuff. You guys have to make a bunch of comments, and then it helps the algorithm. It lets YouTube know that people have an interest in this stuff. And I appreciate everyone who is subscribed. I think we're over 180 subs right now, which is great. I heard Ethan Van Skyver talking about someone had 130 subs or some shit the other day. So, if we can get it to 1,000 is when I want to start doing all these courses that I'd really like to do. I just want to make sure that I can monetize it so I can justify to myself, even if I'm making pennies per broadcast, which is probably what it would be, just to know so I'm making something. And then you guys would have to let me know what you think about this. So there's another guy in here that I really like a lot. His name is Evil Ted. He makes EVA foam props and all kinds of other stuff. And so another thing that he does is in the description of the video, there's a thing that I can do where I can link to Amazon, and anytime you guys buy the stuff off my page that's linked to Amazon, I get a little bit of a kickback. So when we do these videos, you guys let me know. If you want to know all the supplies and where to get them, I'll list all that stuff. But leave me some comments. Let me know if that's what you want to see, and we'll do it like that. I think it's a pretty cool way to do stuff. There's some stuff that you can probably get at Home Depot faster, but there's also some cool tools that you will be able to get delivered pretty quick from Amazon. And then that's another way that I could supposedly make some money in the future. And I don't know if there's a way to somehow link. I don't know. Just trying to think how this could work for you guys. Because I know Slick and some other people are interested in taking these kind of courses and just talking about fashion and watching the process and all that. That's just the plug I wanted to do before we get back to Mike's stuff. Because I want to ask you about, so what are you doing now? We know you're collecting, but not as much. but we know that you just shot a film. You did some acting. Do you have any other acting or film work planned or?
Well, nothing planned.
Okay.
But hopefully.
Nothing on the horizon.
I'm hoping things will come my direction. That's one good benefit of living in Austin with things like Troublemaker Studios and
Right.
that stuff. And for the longest time, the whole movie industry had moved to Georgia.
Right. Right.
Texas was starting to get their momentum, we'll say, as far as the movie industry coming here, and then a lot of the funding went away. So then a lot of that stuff that was going to be filmed here was then taken to Georgia. So hopefully, and
Marie. Sorry, this dog is making me crazy. Yeah, there's a dog and a fly. It's making me crazy.
But so hopefully, rumor is a lot of that stuff may be coming back to Texas too. So
right.
That just means more work for everybody.
Right. So does that mean that you have an agent?
I do not. No,
okay.
No.
So do you go on auditions or how do you do it?
I have gone on some auditions. A lot of times it's for extra stuff. I mean, that's easy. I mean,
yeah.
A lot of you're not often paid that much.
Right. What is it, like 75 a day or something?
Yeah, I mean it can vary, but it can be fun, and you can make a lot of good contacts doing that too.
Yeah, I did that when I first moved to LA. I was an extra on AI in the big dome scene.
Oh, the Steven Spielberg, right.
Yeah, awful movie. So I mean, some of it was so great, and some of it was so bad. You're like, how did they get this crap all in one movie?
Hey, Al Jurgensen was in it.
Yeah, so that's the scene. That's the scene that we shot. We were like all in the supposed audience, like while they're launching robot parts or whatever into the giant fan or whatever they were doing, killing these cyborgs.
No, I mean basically, as far as the acting goes, I've done more stage work than I have film. Film is something that I'm kind of still looking into at this point. I need to actually get headshots done. I know agents here in Austin that I've been told to go to. So.
Oh, okay. I was told to go to an agent once. Yeah, I don't think they liked that my scope of acting was limited to like robots or whatever. I'm still gonna try. Yeah, I've only done two films, and one of them I was standing next to a robot, and then another one I was like a cyborg. So it doesn't really show like a lot of range, which I imagine is what they want to see. But yeah, I do want to do acting. I think is a lot of fun.
It is totally. It's like being a 5-year-old in the backyard. I mean, really. I mean, there's stuff you have to do, lines you have to learn, but it's like being a kid playing a big candy store.
Yeah,
it's great fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of my retirement plan. When I can't use my hands or anything very well anymore, I can try to act. Maybe would be the plan.
Be the grandpa in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Hell yeah. Gamers asking what AI is. Artificial Intelligence was a film by Steven Spielberg that was based on a Stanley Kubrick script. So I don't know if it was the estate or Stanley was actually talking to Steven Spielberg about kind of handing the film off. But after Stanley Kubrick passed away, somehow it was blessed and passed on to Steven Spielberg to try and do something with it. And I don't know. I mean, when you compare, Kubrick to, it seemed like it was an impossible task. I guess, really. Yeah. Though I guess the cool thing I can say is when I was in RoboCop 2, I was directed by Irvin Kershner, the director of Empire Strikes Back, which was pretty cool. The only thing he said was, "Nah, don't worry about it," because there's a scene where Peter Weller walks in, and hey, I forgot to mention Rob Bottin. He's the guy who did the RoboCop suit. He also did all the effects in Total Recall. He did Howling when he was like 21. He's like a kid genius. Eventually, he worked he did The Thing. I heard that they said that he worked non-stop every day 18 hours plus. I don't know if that's completely right for over a year, and then he had to go to the hospital for exhaustion, just basically sleep. That could be exaggerated. So I was like that far away from a Rob Bottin creation, and we were doing just a walkthrough, and no one told me it was a walkthrough. So Peter Weller came around the corner, said some lines. I got this thing of popcorn. It was just like, katana! Right in his face. And you could see everyone on set when I looked around, because no one else did that. Most of the guys I looked at were all like... And Irvin Kershner was like, don't... I was like, oh, man, I'm sorry. I thought we was like, don't worry about it. And then later I heard that people love that because Peter Weller was a fucking dick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was like a very small up-and-comings for him to be pelted in the face with some popcorn, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't know. Actors. He's also a really small guy.
Everybody is much smaller in person, even, especially like musicians and stuff. They always are. I'm 6'2", though, so it's like, the only person as tall as me that I've met was like Tommy Lee.
Right. Does that mean you're taller than Nikki Sixx?
A little bit.
It's like 6'1", 6 foot.
We're real close, but
yeah,
I'm a little bit taller than Nikki.
Yeah, tall guys. Yeah, Nikki Sixx seems tall to me. I don't know who else. Oh, Ryan Hurst.
A lot of it's Nikki's hair.
Right, right. Ryan Hurst is Wookiee tall. He's the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now he's in Walking Dead.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah, he played Opie in Sons of Anarchy. Anyway, he's fucking giant. There's a picture of me standing next to him. He's like, seems like he's 7 foot tall. He's fucking huge, and he's like, more built. He's not like Peter. It's not like skinny-ish Chewbacca. This guy's fucking enormous. And Ryan Hurst? I don't know. I have your vest, and he didn't write me back. Been working on the vest with this guy for like 2 years, I think. It keeps changing, so I didn't forget about you. I sent you an email last, and now you owe me an email. We're gonna try to put what's her name? Shiva, the death god from India.
Death goddess.
Yeah, death goddess.
Goddess of destruction.
Yeah, the one that's got like all the heads around her belt and all that shit. Yeah. So that's gonna go on the back of his vest, and I was trying to get him to agree on the artwork that I showed him. How tall is Junker? I'm 5'9" is what I was told. In RoboCop, I'm in RoboCop Part 2 only, and I didn't even have like a title. I'm basically, people call me like the video game kid. I'm just like playing this video game. RoboCop walks by, I just like go look at him. That's about it. And then he says something. He's like, "It isn't a little late to be out on a school night," and everyone's like, starts throwing popcorn and drinks and shit on him because he's comes to an arcade where they sell Nukem or something.
That drug, whatever it was.
Yeah, they like fucking shoot it up in your neck. You can see my friend JP is in there. He's wearing a leopard skin. Actually, it's a really early Junker thing that I made. It's the best I could do at the time. So I got like a lady's leopard coat, and I just took the arms off, and I put leather biker jacket sleeves on it. And that was my one of my adventures into custom costuming or whatever. But they thought it was awesome, so he's wearing that. He's got like spiky black hair. He shoots himself up in the neck, and he's like passed out on the bar. He gets a couple of really good shots in there. If you look at look up the scene. I think it's called RoboCop 2 arcade scene. I think it's called the arcade scene, and that was pretty fun. But let's see. So thanks, you guys. Saw some other people liked some stuff. I can't tell how long we've been doing this. It's on here somewhere. It is, wow, it's 3. All right, I think that's plenty. Mike has other shit to do probably than sit around all day and talking to new people.
That don't matter to me.
No, yeah, no. Mike's totally easygoing. I think we'll probably go back in the garage and
sweat some more in there. It's hot.
Sweat and get these dumb T-shirts all figured out. There's tons of stock in there, like I said. So I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Everyone thank Mike. He didn't have to do this.
Well,
he could have said no.
Thank you, Todd, for wanting me to come on.
Yeah, sure. There's that too. But thank you for your support. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to get this video when it goes plops and turns real. Yeah, exactly. Make sure to comment on it. And make sure to like it and make sure to share. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 2 again Central Time. Take it easy. Thank you.